The calculator feature that we're going to use in order to be able to calculate the chi-squared values is a lot more difficult than some of the other calculator features. First, you're going to hit Math. Then you need to scroll till you find Solver or Numeric Solver. It's easiest if you use the up arrow. Mine is saying Numeric Solver, and then I'm going to hit Enter. You're going to notice that you have two equations. In the first one, you want to have it say 0. And in the second, you're going to have it enter some chi-squared information. I'm going to show you how to find some of this information in case it doesn't say this. So I'm going to go ahead and clear mine out. First thing you want to be able to do is find where it says chi-squared CDF. This is going to be in the distribution. So hit Second and Distribution and find where it says chi-squared CDF. So since we're working with a chi-squared distribution, very similar to when we do a normal distribution, we need the cumulative of the chi-squareds. So we're going to enter in chi-square CDF. Then you're going to have your lower value. The lowest value you can go is 0, because in a chi-squared distribution you cannot have negatives. Now that's not always going to be 0, because of course if your lower bound is a value and you're moving towards infinity, this lower value could be a different number. But you can never go lower than 0. And then you have your upper value and you have your degrees of freedom. For your upper value, we're going to insert an x. Your x is over here next to alpha where it says x, t, theta, and n. If you just hit the x or hit the button, it's going to input the x for you. I'm going to put a random number of degrees of freedom just so that way I can show you what it looks like on your calculator. You can always change these degrees of freedom depending on the problem you're going to be working on. So I'm going to just enter in a random 52. So on your calculator, you're always going to have it say chi-squared CDF, 0x. The things that will change are your degrees of freedom, and you're going to subtract off an area. The area you're going to subtract off is always the area to the left. This is the same as it was when we found critical values, the same in normal distributions. So remember, when you are finding critical values before, the value inside your normal CDF was always the area to the left. So we're doing the same thing here where you're finding chi-squared values. I'm going to hit a random area to the left of 5% or 0.05, just so I can show you how to do the rest of the steps. When you hit Enter, you're going to see that it's blinking on this x equals. This is not your chi-squared value. I can't say this enough. In order for it to calculate the accurate chi-squared value, you must hit alpha and enter for it to recalculate. And you'll see it doing this little blinky yellow thing up here. Then it's going to finally give you the recalculation. Every time you change numbers up here in the degrees of freedom or the area, you must hit alpha enter, because what it's doing is it's saving an old chi-squared calculation. No matter what you're changing up here, until you hit alpha enter, it will not change your chi-squared value. This is going to be super important as we go through the examples for finding the confidence interval estimates for population standard deviation.